Hi, everyone. I am delighted to be here with you today. I believe that you're in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and I'm here in San Francisco, California, also known as Silicon Valley. It is my great pleasure to share this space and time with you and discuss some trends that are really leading in AI. Let's get started. I've dedicated my life to creativity, community, and commerce. And what I mean by that is that I've spent my entire life working with people who have big ideas, and by connecting to the community who wants those ideas, create commerce that connects the world. I believe in one world. And when I first came to Sri Lanka over a decade ago, I loved being with the gentle people of Sri Lanka, which is what's causing me to be so delighted to be with you here again today. I miss you. I miss walking the streets of Colombo, and I'm delighted to be here walking now with you through this presentation. I hope that we can do some good together. So here's a little slide that shows what I've been doing in my life. I've been working in 76 countries across 65 industries, and these are some of the countries that are highlighted in gray and some of the logos indicating the companies that I have been pleased enough to serve. I've been working with these sorts of organizations over the last 12 months. As you can see, it ranges from USAID and the State Department to the #1 university in the world for startups and funding women-funded startups. In fact, my time is all spent with startups and ideas that people are launching that they want to scale globally. Today, we will be speaking more and more about AI trends. And when I say today, what I mean is now into the foreseeable future, because this is the leading trend in the world today for building wealth. Wealth in terms of doing good in the world, and wealth in terms of being more financially profitable. Let's talk about how this is happening. Well, in looking beyond the hype and looking at the top 10 global AI trends that are shaping technology strategy today, one of the ways that we can look at it is by the forecasted market impact. So what's happening really that changes the market impact? Well, there's a perfect chaotic storm of opportunity and risk. Asymmetrical adoption, in which people in all different industries are adopting quickly or not adopting. Consumers are using all different types of AI or refusing to. There's an evolving lexicon in which what you say about AI and the terms you use may not match what the person sitting next to you says. For this reason, I've built an AI lexicon or dictionary for you, which I will give you access to at the close of this presentation. We need to speak in the same terms in order to move the process forward of coming together and actually building what's possible and selling it to one another. There's an economic supernova, and what that means is that there is trillion-dollar explosive valuations that are emerging. So even as everything is expanding, there is an inevitable contraction on the horizon. So many people are building, and in the future, there will be a moment when there's a bit of a bang, and some people will be gobbled up by those who are leading. There's regulatory polarization. And what that means is that there are people who believe that there should be more regulations, and then there are people who believe there should be fewer regulations. And there's a kind of a polarization around what is right and what is not right to do. So all of this is creating tension between making money and doing the ethically correct thing, because people's determination around what is right and what is not right varies from place to place and continent to continent. And finally, there's FOMO, which is this fear of missing out. There's a sort of existential crisis that's driving a wedge between doing good and making big money. Now, there doesn't have to be that wedge. However, Many people are feeling that wedge. And so what we are doing today, what you're doing there in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and what I'm doing here in Silicon Valley, and in fact, what people are doing all over the world, is to attempt to define clearly what is good, what is ethical, what makes money, and how do those come together to do something good while making money. Again, creativity, finding the community, and building commerce that can travel the globe. So how did I rank? How did we rank these top AI trends? Well, it was actually a fairly challenging process to figure out how to do that. So this is what I did. We looked at the annual revenue. We looked at the R&D investment, patent filings, the number of AI researchers, and finally, the citation impact of research papers. So we used these 5 pieces of information to build the ranking. So what does that mean at the end of the day? It means these are organizations that are making waves, that are causing there to be more awareness for what they're doing. And also, we are looking at what is the industry, what is the type of vertical, what is the type of use of AI that appears to be leading into the future. And we came up with 10 based on this evidence deduction, and I'm going to share all of those with you. Hopefully, that will give you some more evidence for making your decisions around how to use AI in your business, in your workflow day to day, and also if you're building products and services. What are good trends to follow for you? So these are some companies that are leading around the world today. And many of these are companies that have been doing work with AI for decades. In fact, many people believe that AI is not new at all. It's something that many people have been working with around the world for a very long time. However, there's been a kind of an inflection point that has caused there to be a quickening of the use of AI, which is what's causing us all to feel it more. Number 10, getting right into it. What is number 10 in our countdown? Personalized and adaptive learning. Well, so what's that market? 50 to 100 billion US dollars. Yes, that is a B. So we expect that there will be 100 billion US dollars that are made by all kinds of people who are doing things in the learning space. The buzzword you need to remember for this is AI EdTech. And it just means that we are customizing education so the individual can learn more with more ease. Moving right along to number 9, AI hardware acceleration with a forecast of 150 US billion dollars. As you see, that is moving forward significantly above our EdTech. Here are some companies that are currently leading in the space. And how do we refer to this? We call them chips, AI chips, because these chips are specialized and they're being used to optimize AI performance. And so there's a lot of attention on building these specialized chips. AI for science, moving on with 200 US billion dollars. Here are some companies that are in the spotlight today. And what do we call AI for science? Well, we tend to call it AI for, or AI for science. There's not a lot of acronyms. There are not a lot of acronyms that are being used in this. And that's because scientists, engineers are really focusing on how breakthroughs in scientific research can be accelerated by using AI. So what that means is that oftentimes in these clinical trials or in developing drugs in the lab, there become these huge data sets that are developed as a result of hypothesis. And so we're using AI to crunch this data and to discover patterns and discover what wants to happen next. So this is extremely powerful. There's a vast amount of money being invested in health and science of all kinds that are using AI in order to deduce what's actually happening in the data sets with more certainty and more speed. Number 7, Edge AI. So the Edge AI is forecasted to 250 billion US dollars. And what's happening here is that we're looking at a way in which we can take AI and actually bring it onto our local devices. That means on your phone or on a device that's doing something else that can make that device much more powerful. So this industry, which is number 7, is really interesting to me because what's happening is people are using this kind of AI right on the edge of where it is used. It's kind of closing that gap in the last minutes of needing the power of AI. Number 6 is natural user interfaces, moving quickly through to 300 billion US dollars. And what are the companies that are using natural user interfaces? Well, many of these are on my desktop every day. Here we have Anthropic, which is Claude.ai, and also we have many uses for this same area through Alexa. It's called NUI. People call it NUI. And so they pronounce, they're pronouncing this NUI, right? It's natural user interface. And so they're pronouncing NUI to say NUI. And it's intuitive. It's intuitive human-computer interaction via AI. And so these are ways in which the human-computer interaction is deriving more and more value in lots of different ways. Multimodal systems coming in at number 5 with 350 billion US dollars forecasted in the market for the industry. OpenAI, Anthropic again. What this is usually referred to as is MMS. Now, in MMS, what we're really doing is we're combining text, images, and audio and moving those together. And that's why we call it multi, moving those together so that what happens is a synchronization of the value of those to a higher value. And so I'm sure that you've seen these deep fake videos in which you have your cat or maybe the president of a country saying something or doing something which maybe they didn't do. And so this combining of text, images, and audio is seeing lots of ethical, let's say, barriers, while it's also super, super powerful in the entertainment area. I wish you luck if this is what you choose to focus on. Responsible AI integration. So this is a 400 billion US dollar market in the future. And for this, what we're really looking at, we call it RAI, R-A-I, RAI. It's how to implement ethical AI safeguards. So I have a good friend who worked at Spotify, and she was head of governance at Spotify for AI. And all of these ways in which we need to have an awareness of regulatory and ethical compliance, that's an entire industry. That's an entire industry of work and body of work and services that are being sold to help organizations know when they are creating something which needs to have a safeguard and implementing those safeguards ahead of increasing their risk. So this is all about lowering risk for what you're building and using day to day. So here we go, 500 billion US dollars. This is number 3. We're getting close to number 1 now. Now, what happens here? Well, these organizations like Pinecone, Vespa, and Weaviate, they are using RAG to leverage external knowledge sources. So what they do is they pull information from beyond their location, and then they integrate it. So what they're doing is they're combining the vast knowledge that's out in the world with what they want to create. And they call this RAG. They call it RAG. Many organizations that are using this are doing things that can help to optimize based on big data sources out in the world and what's being created inside their own environment. And then they combine. Number two, AI agents. Okay, AI agents. So this one is 800 billion US dollars. Now, what is that? Well, here's what's happening in the AI agent world or agentic AI world. Well, there are people who are approaching, people like me, and they want to build an agent for the decision making that I have. And so what you have are these ways in which AI agents are being built, which then will return answers that are like what I would return to you if you asked me a question. And that agent, that agentic AI, can perform very complex tasks far beyond the kinds of decision making that I make. And what it does is it becomes autonomous. And in that autonomy, it can create additional tools for itself in order to come up with answers. So what happens? You can ask a question. Now, I in myself am using a tool inside my brain, in my experience, in my history of assisting startups and corporations and startup ecosystems to grow. But with these agentic AIs, they tell you exactly what tool they're using. They build the tool many times in order to get the answer, and then they incorporate it into their answer. Much the same way as we as humans call on our own internal resources to come up with good answers. And it's an 800 billion US dollar market on the horizon. Now, coming in at number one, what do you think it is? Take a moment, think. What do you think it is? 3, 2, 1. Here it is. Industry-specific AI solutions. 2 trillion US dollar forecast. So let's see how that looks. Who's doing it? UiPath, Tempest, Upstart. And we call this vertical AI. And this is AI tailored for specific sectors that incorporate parts of these regulatory questions and incorporate other parts that are necessary for those specific industries. And so because they're driving into a vertical, into a niche, into an industry, the power of them is very high. And because they're so tailored to the growth of that industry, the desirability of them is very high. And that's what causes industry-specific AI solutions or vertical AIs to be number one. So let's take a look again at how the top 10 AI trends are reshaping technology strategy from AI EdTech, AI chips, AI4, on-device AI, NUI, MMS, RAI, RAG, agentic AI, and vertical AI. That's how they stack. I invite you to make your creativity, make community, and make commerce. And if you would like to have the special lexicon that I made for you, I invite you to scan this QR code on LinkedIn, and there you can connect with me, and I will just send you, just say, hey, send me the lexicon, and I will send you the AI lexicon. Let me stop sharing just a moment here. Well, let me give you a minute so you can grab it. Go ahead and grab it. And now I'll share with you a little bit about what that lexicon looks like. Stopping here very quickly and now going to the lexicon. And here it is. it looks like this. Here are the definitions for the top 10 AI trends so that you can have them on your desk. And here are all of the words that we use along with the market expectation. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to go back and go to the last page here. And there we have it. I look forward to our next encounter. Please do look for me on LinkedIn. And I hope that the next stage of your meeting there in Colombo, Sri Lanka is of great pleasure to you.